money isn't as important a commodity as time. Time is literally the most valuable thing you have. And while companies will go, I'm paying you X grand a year and that's your salary, what they're really doing is they're paying you for your time, literally, and that you are going, here is the time that I have that is limited and I will be dead within, if we multiply this time by so much, I'll be dead in that time. So, and that's a really big driving force for, if I can snatch back every last second of my life knowing that I haven't just dribbled it away into some sort of office kind of thing, then great.
Welcome to So This Works, the podcast about work-life balance with me, your host, Marcus Lee. On this episode, I talk to Ben Goodwin, aka XP, a musician, MC, and longtime friend based in Leeds, West Yorkshire. Today we talk about his love for music, the emphasis of doing the things you love in life, and how work shouldn't take front and centre of all that you do. I'm not hoping you enjoy the episode, because I know you'll enjoy the episode. So when the beat kicks in, make sure you nod your head and stay tuned. Ben Goodwin.
Hiya.
Thank you for being here, man.
It's
a pleasure to catch up with you. So I've kind of introduced you already, but why don't you just do a proper introduction for us, tell the people who you are and what you do.
I'm Ben Goodwin and I work for myself I have a limited company called Goodwin Innovations. I sell a lot of stuff online. I also am a music producer and recording engineer and rapper, and I work out of my studio recording people as well.
Fantastic. Now, I think we both got different ways of remembering how we first met each other. So my memory of meeting you is with the Spoons, but I think you probably remember it slightly different.
Yeah, I think it was the Alhambra Studios around the back of there, and there was a hip hop thing going on that you and Phil and Jed had something to do with, and I jumped up on stage when you guys were inviting rappers up, and I think I chatted to Phil, but maybe not so much yourself then, and it might have been the time after that you remember better, but I have no idea what time that is, so I've forgotten it.
Yeah, it's all good. So for people who are watching and listening, my background around that time was doing hip-hop music workshops. Yeah. So going into schools, teaching young people about rapping, trying to take away some of those stereotypes about hip-hop and rap music, and doing workshops around the time, performing in Bradford. Alhambra Studio would have been one of those places.
Yeah.
I think I was just getting into doing the workshops full-time then, and Philip introduced me to you. And I think one of the things I remember about you was that you freestyled. You could freestyle.
Oh, yeah. I think I did that on stage, didn't I? Yeah.
And that was still a new skill for me.
Oh, okay.
That was something.
Was that a new skill for you? Because you're really good at that. You're like annoyingly good at freestyle. Like still now, I feel like you would be all right at it. There's a certain air of confidence. You even when you're rapping your own lyrics, you have an air of kind of arrogance, but it's kind of it's an endearing arrogance. So it's not like, oh God, look at him talking about. So I was like, it's actually quite funny. Yeah. And you carried that across in your freestyle. You'd always just say, yeah, and I'm the most amazing person you've ever met in your life. Like every bar just felt like you were saying that, and it was wicked, man. It was always funny.
I can't say, I was learning, but you definitely were a bit of an inspiration.
Oh, sick.
So that's good.
Good to hear.
But around that time as well, obviously talking about hip hop music, you'd released an album on your own, is that right?
Yeah, it was, yeah. Bradford.
Tell us about that album.
It's one of my many mistakes from that sort of era. I was in my early 20s, but I was a young go-getter, so I was like, right, I'm just putting a solo album out, and I did, and I recorded it with a guy called Gov down in Bradford, who was an old friend of the family actually as it went, and I'd recorded with him before, and yeah, it was one of those where I just put a load of time and effort into it. I pressed 1,000 copies of it on CD. That's how confident I was with it. I had no fan base apart from my friends and maybe some people who'd heard about me, and MySpace was sort of coming through around then, so maybe there were some people online, but it was one of those where I'd pressed 1,000 because of the economy of scale, where you press 200, you may as well press 500 price wise, but 1,000 was over the top, and I ended up with a lot left over in my loft, a lot.
But it was good. So I can remember. Am I right in thinking that you were in the Telegraph and Argus talking about come down for a photo shoot, promoting an album made in Bradford?
Yeah.
But it was good.
It was cool. It was a nice vibe. My favourite memory of that whole album, the whole process, was having that I got a letter from the council saying it was all right to have this photo shoot on the steps of Centenary Square.
Yeah.
And it was cool, man. And people did turn up. And the night before, we went to Asda, because I lived in Shipley at the time. We went to Asda at like 2 a.m. and got all their cheap bread, because they sell it for like a penny just to get rid of it.
Yeah.
And it was, so we got loads of that. Took it the next day. Everyone had a bit of bread they were throwing in front of the camera. It was great. The police turned up and like, right, what are you up to?
Yeah.
Like, here's the form from the council. I think if I'm allowed to be here. Felt really cool. Did a freestyle for the police. That was really awkward.
Nice.
And it was good vibe. It was an interesting thing, and
Okay, yeah, that was good, man. It's good. It's a nice memory. So
Yeah.
that's me and you catching up, going back sort of 13 years, which is scary to think.
Christ.
13 years ago, I want to come back and talk to you a little bit about that period and that album. But I just want to kind of fast forward to now so that we can go back.
Sure.
Just tell us a little bit about, just going into a little bit more detail, if it's all right, just about your sort of day-to-day operations with.
So my day-to-day is, since in late 2012, early 13, my brother-in-law had a company and had a guy that he knew who made hot water cylinders, and a guy he knew who was really good with websites, and they'd kind of got to him and go, you know what you're doing with hot, because he had a history in hot water, stuff, whatever, heating and that kind of thing. And he got in touch with me and was like, I ain't got really the time to have a look at this. Do you want to have a look at this website? It's not doing much at the moment. And I sort of took that over, having absolutely no idea what the hell hot water cylinders were, and then sort of learned what they were, and that the website kind of did work in that people went to this website, they'd buy stuff, or they'd ring me and ask about stuff, and we'd make stuff for them. And I've been doing that since 2013 now, and that's gone from me and him as a 50-50 business, and I bought him out in 2000 and maybe 15, 16, I can't remember when it was, and now I'm just the sole. I have a limited company now, which is the trading name for this website. Yeah. And my day-to-day is Monday, Friday, I'm available on the phone, 8:30 till 6. Generally speaking, it's not off the hook, though. Yeah. The phone isn't. And I get emails and just orders, and I'm just dealing with them as they come. And at the same time, my other source of income is booking people into my studio to record with them at £15 an hour, which isn't masses. Yeah. And it's just, it's good. I've got a good experience in the field, and I'm more like using my experience to kind of work with people who do want to work with an engineer sort of thing, and have the tune sounding good or what have you. So,
I mean, that's great, because the vibe I get from you is, obviously because we're friends, so we talk away from this. This isn't the first time we've spoken. Is that you do what you do during the day, but it kind of allows you to do other things.
Absolutely, yeah.
It gives you a bit more space to enjoy
life. Rule number one was like, get out of an office. So I've been doing office. I've been in and out of offices since 2003 ish, and hated every second of it. And there'd be there'd be colleague fun and this, that, and the third, and it's good because it provides a paycheck, but I couldn't take it. And I'm a control freak, and I need to be my own boss. And I'd realised that later. I can't really be told what to do. I have to kind of find my own way. And I was a pain in the ass for managers, rightly or wrongly, kind of thing. And it was like 2011, 12, just before I got married, where I was like, I can't take this crap no anymore, and just kind of sacked it in. Didn't really have any, what should I do instead kind of thing. Unfortunately, this other thing fell into my lap, but I was doing the workshops with you and Phil and stuff like that. So there were always little bits and pieces of income that kind of kept me trundling along. Yeah. But I think it was important that I got out of that so I could work when I wanted to work, where I wanted to work. Because I think it's stupid that we are forced into certain places. I think that 9 to 5, Monday, Friday commute is one of the most stupid things in the world. Like the idea that you're trapped in your car or, train or whatever for the best part of an hour, maybe to go back and forth to a place where you could be doing that anywhere. So it's it's just time. One thing that came to me, sorry to just keep going here, was that, money isn't as important a commodity as time. Time is literally the most valuable thing you have. And while companies will go, I'm paying you X grand a year and that's your salary, what they're really doing is they're paying you for your time, literally, and that you are going, here is the time that I have that is limited, and I will be dead within, if we multiply this time by so much, I'll be dead in that time. So, and that's a really big driving force for, if I can snatch back every last second of my life knowing that I haven't just dribbled it away into sort of office kind of thing, then great.
No, fantastic, man. Preach. Saying, yeah. I think for me, I can remember, jobs I did before I was self-employed. So my memories of my early 20s were going to, before I had a car, getting 2 buses to a job at 7:30 in the morning.
Forget about it.
A godforsaken time. Or 7 a.m. in the morning. A godforsaken time to go work 9 hours. I used to work at the old Bradford and Bingley.
Yes.
In Bingley, which is now not down. I think you said an Aldi.
It is an Aldi, Or a little, no, it's a little, yeah.
But I can remember doing 2 buses in the morning, two buses in the morning, 2 home at night, going from West Bowling over to Bingley and feeling like I was dead in the morning. Yeah. And it's a horrible way to live your life. And I get why people do it, because, you got to work. Of
course. You
got to work, man. But I just think when people have been doing that for 30 years, 40 years, whittling their lives away, I just think, nah, man, there's a better way to live.
It works for some people and it works for other people, and I think the way that the Western world professions are set up are geared so much towards early birds. In the idea that there's early birds who do wake up in the morning and feel fresh and ready, and then there's night owls who don't. And there is evolutionary speaking, people are like that, because back in the day when we were in tribes and groups, people did need to be up at different hours, so they were protecting the tribes and whatever. So and I am definitely a night owl. My brain comes alive later on in the day. Generally, I'm more creative in the early hours of the morning even. And I don't want to know about 7 in the morning. Like, I was ready to kill people at 7 in the morning. And it was a really terrible place for me to be. So that was a big...
I know the feeling, man. I managed to go through a couple of windows being self-employed where winter came and I never saw a dark morning. It was the best thing in the world.
That's incredible, isn't it?
I can remember I used to wake up for school and it'd be dark outside and I'd feel like shedding tears. And I remember thinking, when I'm a grown-up... I'm not going to do this. And I had to do it as a grown-up for a while, but, kind of hitting like late 20s, 30s, just that thing of, right, no more ridiculously early mornings, because I get to choose my own hours. And like you, I'm also a night owl, so I come alive at night. Mornings just let me kind of figure out life.
Kind of warm up into a day.
Exactly, but I think that's the whole thing of choosing your working life. Yeah. So with the studio as well, because I've had the privilege of visiting your studio as well.
And recording there.
Yeah, and recording there, So the studio... I know a bit about the studio, but tell people about the studio, how it came about, how that was built.
That was like, my dream was to always have my own recording place. Place to do it, and it not be necessarily a part of the house, or if it was a completely dedicated shut-off bit. And throughout my entire life, there's always been a cupboard or something with a mattress or a pair of tights around a coat hanger, just to sort of get the job done. But I'd always dreamed of this place, and indeed, when me and Andrew were looking for to buy a house, and this is the first time we'd both bought a house, it was the idea was always going to be that there was a garage or something that we could convert. So we found this great bungalow which had a garage, and a friend of mine, Luke, who I rap with in Flame Griller as well, he's a builder, and he came along and built it up and built it further a bit. So I've got 2 rooms of a studio, and it works perfectly. It's been in place since 2009, having various renovations. Originally it was just brick and cold, and then we got a little bit of roofing to make it a little less cold, and over time I've improved it, but it was always, I've been doing music in there ever since, kind of thing, like, and recording people.
It's funny because I can actually, and this is going back again, I can remember you lived in, was it Hyde Park? And I remember doing some recording in your attic.
That's right.
And there was a mattress. A mattress in the wall. I think in that same house we recorded a music video for Never Look Back.
Yes, that sounds right.
Back. Yeah. Which is, again, that's going way back. I don't think my video production skills were any good back then.
But we were learning at the same time. My rapping skills weren't particularly good at the time, but we were all learning together, and just it was a time of creativity. It was nice though, wasn't it? You look back with fondness, as long as no one was like, "Oh, should we all sit around and look at this video you did in 2007?" But otherwise, you got fond memories.
Exactly. So another thing about the studio as well, this is kind of going back, I want to say maybe 8 years ago, is that Synoptic Music was a thing, and West Yorkshire Cypher was a thing. Could you explain in 3 sentences? What the West Yorkshire Cypher was, or what a cypher is?
What the cypher, it's one of those where in hip hop they've adopted the name from it, but effectively a cypher is where it goes round in a circle with different rappers rapping. effectively. Now, it didn't have to be exclusively freestyle or anything, but that's what we were doing. We were sort of a group of people, whoever it would be, on a certain night every week would get together and we'd just rap over beats, but it would always be freestyled. It would never be written.
Yeah.
And that's effectively what we were doing.
Yeah. It was good though.
It was fun. It was a really mad time.
Yeah.
Always the point of that studio was to be doing loads of music things and loads of interesting things and this and that. So it was a really good opportunity. And my wife started going to yoga on a Monday night, and I was like, well, I've got this Monday night free. So I just messaged a few people because I was terrible at freestyling. I still think I'm terrible at freestyling because it's one of those things that if you're not doing every day, when you're in the shower, when you're in and out of whatever sort of thing, or you've got some God-given ability that someone's just given to you, then otherwise you just need to be practicing it the whole time, and I just wasn't doing it enough. But you do learn better at working with other people. So I invited a few people around the Monday night, and about 5-6 people came, someone filmed it, and then we were like, this is quite cool, and then people got wind of it, and it effectively became like, if you tell a bunch of rappers that they can come around to your house, mess it up, you're allowed to smoke in there, you're allowed to drink in there, and you can rap to some stuff and you meet some other rappers. It was like an amazing networking opportunity for rappers, really, as well as being a big old party where anything goes kind of thing. So as long as you were freestyling.
But that became quite a big thing.
Reasonably so, yeah. It caught a little bit of attention. People liked the community that was created from a lot of those guys. There was a lot of very high ability. I mean, there aren't many better freestylers in the country than a couple of the guys who were coming, and then the rest of them could really hold their own. I think because of the ability of it and because of the community of it and the way that people perceive as like, whoa, things are going off in Yorkshire, aren't they? You know what I mean? So, it got a little bit of light. I'm not going to, I look at YouTube views and I'm like, well, the most it ever got was like 30,000. Yeah. So really, it was a kind of drop in the ocean compared to the things that are going off now in like grime or whatever. But it got a bit of motion, certainly.
It was still a good thing. I think I remember coming along as a MC.
Yeah.
But I still felt like there were other people around who were obviously 10, 20 times better than I was. So the idea of freestyling with a camera in your face and thinking, oh, this might end up online, I found it a little bit nervous.
That was the only time I've ever seen you anxiously freestyle. I've seen you freestyle in front of 100 15-year-olds in a school, and that for me is a much more stressful environment than with 6 people who've had too many beers. You know what I mean? But fair enough. You didn't know them necessarily.
I think it's your peers though, isn't it? Because you're thinking you want to impress them, and they're at a similar stage that you are. So it was that thing. So going back to Bread in Bradford, going back to that period, I said we would. What year was that album? What did
2006.
You do that? Okay. We had a little bit of a chat beforehand about how you do things one time and then you move forward and you look back sometimes fondly. Sometimes you think, not sure about that period. Yeah. How do you look back on that Bread in Bradford album?
Like I was at school, like that was like my rap education almost sort of thing, learning all the mistakes, as I said, pressing 1,000 albums, even the marketing perspective of it, I was learning how not to do things. And I was recording with someone else. I was learning that I'd wanted to record myself, and it would take a while, but I'd get to a point where I can manipulate it how I want it to sound, and it's a lot better that way. Yeah. Also, when you're paying for recording time, you've only got that time to do it right. Whereas when you've got your own studio and your own recording facilities, you can be like, that's wrong. You can keep going back again. I can record the same song I've been recording for the next 60 days tonight if I wanted, and no one would know about it, and it's no financial detriment to me. Whereas if you do that in a studio, that gets really costly really quick. So those times I do look back on as my education kind of thing, and I'm glad that I forced myself into them. But you play me any of that album, if I've been to places where I haven't seen someone for a while and they're like, oh yeah, Bread in Bradford, remember that? I'll just put that on. I'm like, no. It's have you heard of the right to be forgotten thing that Google put in wherever? I've done my best to clear the internet of any trace of MP3s now, which is really helpful for me. The people who have the albums, but I am willing to buy them back off people just so I can snap it and throw it in a bin. Yeah.
But don't you think it's good to have that out there, even if it's bad, that you have some record of doing this thing, and it just shows progression, doesn't it?
It does show progression, but it doesn't need to be there. It's like, you don't need your pictures from school uploading and everyone seeing them. Do you know what I mean? You're embarrassed. It's just like those, and while they were really necessary for you, to create who you are today, I don't think anyone needs to see it. Really.
That's all good. So tell us about some of the other musical projects you've been involved in since then. So obviously you've come a long way since then.
Yeah, so I've been. It's been a lot. Well, Synoptic we were very busy with Synoptic. There's loads of stuff I did with that. That was a record label I started in. Well, I'd always had the name since before Bread in Bradford, but we sort of made a proper label out of it when I moved to Hyde Park, actually, and had a few different artists on. So there were a couple of projects on there, but the most successful and the busiest things that I've been involved with, there's a crew called Flame Griller, which is 3 of us. One of the guys is Luke, who built the studio, as I said. Another guy called Dan as well. And the 3 of us have done okay, a couple of albums, about trying to write a third at the moment, and it's gone very well, and we do quite a lot of gigs and when we can, and so that's been fun. And then I've done a couple of live projects. One was called Frayed Not. That did okay, but that was back in the 2006 days. Again, a lot of mistakes learned. We were doing 20 quid gigs at the Old Blue, the Old Goose or whatever on a Thursday, and no one would be there, kind of thing. And you learn from those mistakes, I think. And then there was a crew called Tough Crowd as well. It was kind of the other side of Frayed Not, where I made it too exclusive. And the music was really good, but the musicians were very busy, and it was difficult to like meet that kind of, well, you've got a gig where you're going to get paid 300 quid to play, Johnny Be Good tonight, or you can play for nothing for us. Can you make it? No. Fair enough. So that had its various problems. I think we went through about 4 keys players as well, and it was just like, I got stressful to organise. Yeah. The history of my music life after putting out my solo album was entirely one of, I don't have the confidence to do music on my own anymore, so I need to work with other people. And I didn't realise I was doing it, but I was like, I'm going to do this crew, I'm going to do that, I'm going to do this group, because I felt if I was on stage and there was a group of people around me, then if it was going badly, at least I had they were my shock absorbers, whereas on my own, I'd done a couple of gigs where it had died, it was just me, and it felt awful, and I didn't want that feeling ever again. And what I didn't realise was that I needed to push through that and just die on my arse a few times, and then it'd be okay. But now it's only in the last couple of years I've kind of come to the realization of like, I need to stop trying to control everyone and other people and just control myself and what I'm doing. So yeah, man.
So fast forwarding then to more recent times, you've done 2 new albums. Yeah. Right, tell us about those albums.
Okay. The album in 2017 was called Remarkable and Remarkable, and it was it came at a time where I'd poured too much time into projects I had with other people, and that was stressing me out because I wasn't able to control it and get them to write, and it was my only outlet. And I was finding specifically Flame Griller was my only writing outlet, and the people weren't necessarily wanting to write in the group for their own reasons, and that was absolutely fine. But I was stressing myself out about the fact that I had no outlet, and I didn't have a solo outlet. So I just said, right, I'm going to start writing my own stuff. And actually, while I thought I wouldn't be able to do it, found that it was okay, I could plow through it, and then ended up writing. The album became Remarkable and Remarkable, and that did okay. And then I was enjoying writing so much as I carried on. So, and then the second album happened, which is called, I've forgotten the name of my second album, Fully Fledged Fraud. Okay. I had to think about that. That's terrible, isn't it? That's how much I promoted it. Well, exactly, yeah. And that's about, the second album was about imposter syndrome and the idea of like doing something and being something, and whether you are, if you're just doing it or not, and how many people call you an imposter if you're not anymore, sort of thing. So that was the overall concept anyway.
I think for people who might not have heard of you, as someone, I'll say I'm a fan. I'll say a fan, not a fanboy.
Fan. I don't like the word fan. It's loaded. I say supporter if I get the opportunity. Yeah.
I think one of the good things about your music is it feels very relatable. Mm-hmm. I think you see a lot of hip hop superstars or artists who their thing is, I'm all about the bling. Look how much money I've got in the bank. Check out my 28-inch rims. Yeah. I'm balling and that kind of thing. Whereas you come across as, I'm going to the pub. I don't want to pay that much for a pint. I've got a letter from the Inland Revenue. That's ridiculous. And one of the songs that you've done on Fully Fledged Fraud is Mr. How Much? Yeah. Love that tune.
Thanks.
Just going to play a clip of it for the people at home. So if you're watching the video podcast, you can obviously watch the video now. If you're listening to it on audio, make sure you check out the video. But we've got a quick clip that we'll play for you. Check this out.
Mr. How much, Mr. How much, Mr. How much are you charging? Mr. How much, Mr. How much, Mr. How much are you charging?
I went on a stag do to London the other year.
£5.50 for a mother chuffing beer. I was broke by the first night. London's so super. Plus my mate had his phone nicked by some guy on a scooter. How the hell do people manage Polish, English and Spanish, African, Hispanic, Asian, Danish, Islamic? To rent a property in Zone 4's like 3 times the cost of a flat in central Bradford. See why I'm lost? The local spar is selling orange juice a couple quid more than any place in the north, and I just can't ignore. I walk in and look to buy some stuff, then walk out, cause I'd rather go hungry and thirsty than fork out. So chuff London and chuff capital cities. People gravitate towards them, and it's a pity. The streets are paved with gold directly from your wallet, but there are more opportunities here. Oh, stop it. Mr. How much, Mr. How much, Mr. How much are you charging? Mr. How much, Mr. How much?
Mr. How much?
Yep.
What a tune, eh? So yeah, I mean, how did that song come about?
That I was writing that when I wrote the first album, and actually the first gig I did after the first album was I performed that song. It was just one of those. I'd always, as I was writing the back end of the first album, I was trying to write a song similar to Everyday People by Arrested Development or something along those lines, and I didn't quite get it. And then I found this sample, and I mean, it's a really blatant George Benson sample, to be fair, and I don't get many royalties from it, but it's I wanted to write about being tight because everywhere I went, I was, you know what I mean, I walk out of places, I had a lot to write about. I only write about stuff that I feel I've got something to say, you know what I mean, and a lot of most of my stuff is subject matter based. I want to write about something specific or a way that I feel about something rather than it just being a broad whatever. It's interesting what you said about you know, the bling and all this kind of thing, the bravado kind of stuff that comes with hip hop. Because I think a lot of people do listen to hip hop as an escape, and I don't think there's anything wrong with that necessarily. So I think there is always going to be a greater listenership, especially with the younger generation. Of you want that thug lifestyle, or that, you know, all the money kind of that thing portrayed, because it's not what you're living. Whereas the criticism I get, and rightly so, really, is that, you know, if you want to listen to someone moan about a thing, I was listening to my mum, you know what I mean, mum or whatever, and you know, people say it's relatable, but I hate to say this, bro, most of the people who agree with you and most of my fan base are well over 28 or thereabouts, you know what I mean, and I am kind of making grumpy old dad rap, really, but it's the niche that I enjoy writing it, it's fun, and I have absolutely no interest in jumping in I'm just going to write some fake rubbish. Indeed, I couldn't if I wanted to, like if I wanted to get on this trap 808 kind of hip-hop vibe and get really cool and down with the kids, I couldn't write it if I wanted to, if I really, you know what I mean, and or like, and I always look up to a lot of artists who do a lot of different things, like MF Doom or something like that, who's like created this, you know, different character for himself, and that's an interesting route. But I couldn't write down that route, so I just come back to, you know, what's happened to me today. I'll write that in my phone and just write a note on it and hope that people will go, yeah, actually, I've had that experience. You know what I mean? Yeah.
I think it's good. I mean, I must say, I'm quite out of touch with like modern day hip hop music. I couldn't tell you what was the Grammy award-winning album of.
I think it naturally happens about, I don't know whether it's about 25, it's around that sort of age where you do just naturally stop, you just shut off a little bit from it, and you're like, well, I like what I liked when I liked it, sort of thing, and you don't really look, and it's actually quite an effort to go out searching for stuff, and there's always good stuff out there. There's always people doing stuff. Like right now, I bet there's at least 20, 30 artists you've never heard of that would blow your mind. You'd be like, oh man, hip-hop is alive, this is amazing, but I haven't heard of them either, because they've probably got, you know, a few thousand followers, and they're from Carolina or something, and they're doing fine with their little fan base like I am, and no one's really heard of them other than that, and they're not going to blow up because it's not about that bling trap 808 sort of thing. But there's loads of good stuff out there. It's just
I mean, is that still a thing? Like I say, I'm so out of touch, it's scary, but you know, is it a thing where people are still, cause I you know, the whole thing of, you know, when I was younger, I liked all of the music with its trappings, whether it was, you know, bling bling, this that, mother effer this, whatever. I enjoyed it. I was 16 and it helped me. Yeah. You know? But the argument back then was, right, this music is damaging the youth. It's not good for the kids. Is it just the same today? Is it just that we're just, you know, women are this, men are that? I'd like to think that in 20 years, and I can't say because I have no idea what is popular in rap these days.
Grime seems to be the most popular thing at the moment, certainly in the UK.
Yeah.
And that seems to have a really, has quite a political undercurrent at the moment and a very sort of left-wing vibe. And I would say that misogyny is starting to finally creep out of even the popular stuff and, making light of sexuality or whatever kind of thing. I think people are starting to think a bit more about what they're writing about and as role models and stuff. So I think it is creeping in a little bit.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, if you're going to laugh at it, if it's going to make you go, because it's like a film. Really, if you're creating a vision for someone, if you can't go to Quentin Tarantino, can you just lighten it up a little bit? I don't want any misogyny in this one. It's like they're telling a story. They're not living their lives like this necessarily. But I suppose that's the thing, isn't it? You create yourself as a role model and like, this is what I do with women and I don't care sort of thing. I think that is a problem, but you know what I mean? Like, blame it on hip hop. There's so many worse things to blame things on.
I know. I think it was that thing of like when I was younger, when in my 20s, and we did the music workshops, and going into a school straight away, kids say, "Oh, do you smoke weed, sir?" Because you're a rapper. You must do. Or, you say, right, we're going to write some songs today. We're going to write some hip-hop lyrics. Yeah. Right, can we swear? Right. Why is that the first thing that comes to your mind, young person, is can we not tell a story? Or is it that you're thinking, well, it's hip-hop, so I have to tell a story that has...
But it's art,
bad language in it.
Fundamentally, it's art, though, innit? And art needs to shock or make you think of something. And if you're just going, right, I'm going to write a song now, and it's going to be about this table. This table is white and it's square, and great. Like, who cares?
Bars.
But But if you're like, this happens and effing that, you know what I mean? It's like people will, even if they don't like it, like I've been offended by art, but I felt offended by it, so that it provoked an emotion, and in a way, it did its job. A little bit. So, I don't know whether that's such a problem. And I get why the young people do that, because it's like all day at school, they're not allowed to swear. Yeah. Suddenly someone comes in and go, should we write some raps? And they're like, oh, time for me to swear.
Yeah. That's true. It's true. I'm going to play a very quick game, which I'm trying to play with everyone. Yeah. It's really simple. The game is just this or that. It'll probably be over in about 60 seconds.
Okay.
But literally, it's a bit like Would You Rather. I'm just throwing two things at you. This is just to kind of try get a little window into who you are as a person. Yeah. Really simple things, quite childish, but there you go. The other thing is you have to pick one. Okay. So you can't say none of those. Right. Okay. None of those. You know what I'm saying? So
family friendly podcast.
Yeah, family friendly. Family friendly. It's all good. There's nothing offensive in here. Or if you get up and walk out, I know it's offensive. All right. So I'm going to start off with a music one. Right. Tupac. Or Biggie Smalls?
Biggie, no worries. Biggie. All day. Fine.
Why?
He's better. He's got better songs. Tupac's got some alright stuff, to be fair. I didn't mind Me Against the World. There's some alright songs on there, but that is it. I can't really abide him otherwise. Okay. There's a track on Thug Life as well. But Biggie is just better lyrically, better songs. Yeah, all day long.
Fantastic. Okay. Season ticket.
Yeah.
Just for the fans, can you tell us who you support?
Bradford City.
All right, you're a Bradford City fan.
I'm
okay.
a Bradford City fan.
Right, so you have to pick one. Season ticket. At Manchester City or Manchester United?
Oh, Manchester City.
Really?
Yeah. Because they're doing better. They've been playing better football right now. And I've been to Old Trafford, so I haven't been to Man City. So I'd like, it'd be cool.
Okay, I don't know how I feel about that one. Okay, right. Actors: Denzel Washington or Morgan Freeman?
Racist.
Oh, Matthew Broderick.
That's a good question. Just trying to think. Freeman has probably been in more things that I'm that familiar with, but Denzel has really knocked it out of the park in the good ones like Man on Fire and American Gangster and A Training Day. That was Denzel, I think. But it's Denzel. Fine.
Okay. Yorkshire.
Yeah.
Or Kent.
Nice. To Yorkshire. Obviously, yeah.
Okay. No allegiance to Kent.
Not a sausage for Kent.
Right. Okay. Right. Don't hide your feelings. Right. Yeah, I know you, Ben. So I know you're gonna love this one. I feel harsh saying it, but Strictly Come Dancing or X Factor.
Strictly. It has to be. I've watched it once or twice. At least it requires some level of skill, and Simon Cowell isn't involved in it.
Fair enough. Night Out in Corby or Night Out in Coventry?
I've never had a night out in Coventry, so it'd have to be Corby. I do really like Corby. It would be great. So yeah, got me Corby all day long. Coventry.
Fair enough. What's wrong with Coventry, man?
Well, I've never been, so I don't know what's good there.
I'll wait till you get sent.
Hit me up, Coventry.
Yeah, fair enough. Vegan diet or vegetarian diet?
Vegetarian. Vegan, you can't have honey, man. You can't have eggs. That is brutal, man. Vegan don't mess around. And I think if I had my own chickens, I should be allowed to eat the eggs that they produce if I'm looking after them, and then that would. But as a vegan, I wouldn't. Well, it depends on your level of veganity. But is that a thing? Vegetarian, anyway.
It is now. Okay. Trip of a lifetime to Australia or trip of a lifetime to the US of A?
Can I go to New Zealand as well in the Australia one, or is it like just
Australia,
exclusive?
mate?
Just Australia.
Australia.
Trip of a lifetime. Don't know really. I've been to America. I liked it. Never been to Australia. So for that reason, let's go Australia. Just because I haven't been that side.
Fair enough. Take That come back or Spice Girls come back?
I mean, both happened. These are awful questions, man. Well, they both came back, so it's irrelevant whether I want it or not. Oh God!
But you've got to go to one.
Oh, I got to go to
You've
one.
got to go to one, and you've got to take Ange as well. And you've got to tell her that you bought the tickets.
Right. I'd probably go Spice Girls then, because it would be a bit weird going to Take That, I think. Also, Spice Girls, I could probably sing the lyrics to about 3 of their songs. Take That, don't really know them too well. So,
you know Take That songs?
Don't know Take That songs too well. I know Robbie Williams, but otherwise, I'm not really bothered. I don't like Gary Barlow's right? Meh.
Don't you?
Nah.
I'd say their songs are better than Spice Girls songs.
That may be, but I know the lyrics of more Spice Girls songs than Take That, so I'd have more fun there.
Viva Forever, man.
Exactly. I'll be waiting.
Okay.
Shining something like the sun or something.
So generic.
Yeah.
Last one, and it's your album, Remarkable Unremarkable album by XP.
Yeah.
Or Fully Fledged Fraud by XP.
Fully Fledged Fraud is the better album of the two, definitely.
And why do you say?
There's just better tracks on it there. Remarkable Unremarkable was me trying to find my sound, and then Fully Fledged Fraud was me having found it.
You find it hard to say?
It was kind of the point.
All right, okay, fair enough. Yeah, so I really stumbled through that. That's great. Right, no more. That's it. That's
like
it, man. Wicked. So just kind of going forward then, man. So tell me about future projects. I mean, we haven't talked. People will notice that we haven't talked too much about what you do work-wise, day to day, because I think the thing that comes out with you is the passion is the music, isn't it?
Yeah.
The passion is the music.
That's all I care about, really.
And I don't want to put words in your mouth. We might have said this already, but I get the feeling that what you do just frees you up to do more of the music.
Essentially.
Is that right?
Yeah. In a nutshell, man, the one of the things about my work is I don't have holidays.
Yeah.
So apart from a very short period of time in Christmas where I physically can't get the things made that I sell online, the hot water cylinders and stuff, I'm on call, I'm available, emails come in, there could be problems, there could be issues, there could be orders or whatever, and I've got to deal with them. And I don't get holidays, I don't get to get away from that, I can't give it to anyone.
Yeah.
So if we went to the Maldives for our 10-year anniversary, it was a big old deal, and I was having to sit in an air-conditioned room while she was chilling in, you know what I mean, in the sea, doing work, because I have to, because I can't like start and stop it. It's just got to, when it comes, and it doesn't when it doesn't. And if it's quiet, then I've got more time for music. And if I've just got to roll with the punches, but I've got it down to nice.
It's the joys of doing your own thing. It's like you are doing your own thing, but holidays are sort of non-existent.
They don't, You just got to,
It's a very special thing, but tomorrow I'm taking a day off.
Ooh.
And I thought, I need to speak to my manager. And then I realised that I'm a manager.
Yeah.
So that he was all right with it. But do you know what I'm saying? You got to fight for that. But then your brain is still on work.
There's a lot of guilt with yourself if you're a driven person. It's like any time off that you give yourself, you're like, well, I don't know whether this is all right. Like this is money that I'm not making if I'm sat on my backside doing it. You know what I mean? Not earning anything. So it's tricky, man.
Is Christmas a complete shutdown for you?
It's not a complete shutdown. I'll still get emails. I still get orders, but they're just they're just a longer period of time. So I can get away, and I can get away with not being on call. I could leave my phone at home. Generally speaking, I've got it on me the whole time. Yeah. But over the Christmas period, I can get away with, even if they ring, I'm like, well, it was Christmas. That's the only, even though people still do ring. So that's the only shutdown. And it's nice because it's good that is my time, because then I do get to, fully immerse myself in family activities and stuff like that. So it is really nice. But
fantastic. Yeah, so any future projects you can tell us about?
Future projects? Well, I am writing a third album. It's very, very slow at the moment because I want it to be as good as the previous two and be meaningful to me and stand the test of time. So that's a writing thing that's ongoing. So I don't see that coming out before 2021, next couple of years. Okay. And similarly with Flame Griller, we are starting to write. We've got some very exciting things in the pipe work, but because of the process that it takes for 3 people to write and sorting the music, and one of us has a kid now, and you know what I mean, it's just like there's a lot of moving parts, and I'm not in any. It doesn't need to be rushed. It won't work if we do rush it, kind of thing. So that's another thing. That's probably 2021. So 2021 sounds like quite an exciting year.
Sounds good. Could be an album title. You never
know. Yeah.
So last thing, man. Really appreciate being here. Can you share any social media links where people can find you if they want to know more about your music and what you do?
Yeah, XP or Ben pretty much covers everything. Twitter, XP or Ben, Instagram, Facebook. You put it in, that'll find me there.
Okay, fantastic. Well, we'll put all those in the video links and that kind of thing. But Ben Goodwin, it's been a pleasure having you, man. Thank you for being here. It'd be great to have you back in the future. Tell us about whatever else is happening. Any go into detail about whatever projects you got going on, man. But it's been a pleasure. So
pleasure. Thanks very much, man.
Thanks a lot, bro. Well, you've made it this far, you've stuck it out to the very end, so thank you for watching this episode of So This Works. If you've enjoyed this video, please like it, please leave a comment, please subscribe to the YouTube channel, please tell a friend about it, please share this video, and also hit that notification bell so that you're notified as soon as a new video has been released. If you'd like more information about this podcast, please check out the website sothisworks.co.uk. I hope that you will join me for a future episode, and until next time, take care of yourselves.